Look, I'm not a good animator. We know this, it's no secret. I mean, just look at a few of my greatest hits. Yeah, animation's never been my strong suit, but today that changes. I mean, no one's mistaking me for Pixar or anything, but I will show you how I'm finally getting body, facial, and hair animation results that I'm really happy with, using better rigging, better tooling, and my new secret weapon. But first, we need to understand the big mistake I was making. See, there was a major mistake I made when starting Farewell North that set me up for 4 years of pain. I would try to animate something in Blender or download an animation from Mixamo, but whenever I brought it into Unity, it would always feel bad. I tried to compensate using the animation rigging package, which is great for tweaking animations using in-game data, like if you want a character's hand to find a door handle no matter where they are relative to the door. It's great for that stuff, but it's not really a solution for authoring entire animations. So then I tried using tools like Umotion to animate inside of Unity, thinking maybe that'll solve my problem. But there are still the core issues that 1, I'm a terrible animator, and 2, I wasn't aware that something was making animation much more difficult than it had to be. So I went looking for help, and the last straw came when I hired animators to take over, and even they found it tremendously difficult to create solid animations. And then one day, one of the animators explained what the problem was, and it blew my mind. See, I'd always thought that inverse kinematics or IK was like the animation rigging package, where you'd make slight adjustments to animations at runtime, like locking characters' feet to the terrain or modifying their hand position to hold an object, stuff like that. But it turns out that there's such a thing as an IK rig, and there's a massive difference between having an IK rig versus an FK or a forward kinematic rig. See, with FK rigs, you have to move each bone individually, and if you move a bone like the shoulder, then all of its child bones like the upper arm, forearm, hand, and fingers all move with it. With an IK-based rig, you work the other way around, starting with the child bone like the hand, placing it where you want, and then the rig automatically calculates where the parent bones like the forearm, upper arm, and shoulder need to move to achieve that child bone position. Imagine if you wanted to reach for a cup of tea, but you had to think about your shoulder, your elbow, your wrist, rotating and positioning each of them individually. That's what animating FK is like, and it's maddening. IK animation is just putting your damn hand on the cup of tea and letting the shoulder, elbow, and wrist figure out where they need to be. It is so much easier to work with. And that's why Kaylee was so difficult to animate. Her rig was entirely forward kinematic, so the slightest adjustment would break an entire animation. Trouble is, I learned this way too late, 2 or 3 years into the project, when so much of the game had already been painstakingly animated, and I really couldn't redo her rig or would potentially lose all the existing animations. So we had to press on with the FK rig, but the pain didn't stop there. Towards the end, we were working on some big cutscenes. Scenes like this, where Kaylee walks through a room and interacts with objects on shelves. But these scenes are all put together inside of Unity. This meant I would have to recreate the scenes in Blender for the animator to work with. But inevitably, some scale or distance or something would be slightly off, and it would make the animations really difficult to incorporate. This meant we needed lots of little adjustments to fine-tune the animations. But the FK rig made any little adjustments a nightmare, so each time we made an adjustment, it caused the animator a ton of rework. But that still was not the end of our problems. At some point, I decided we needed facial animation as well, but I didn't really learn my lesson. Instead of learning about facial animation best practices, I decided I would go ahead and make my own facial animation system, because I, the terrible and inexperienced animator, know best. I made a whole video about it here, but the main idea was that the pupils and eyelids were controlled in the eye shader, bad idea, and other facial animations were using blend shapes, which was a good idea. But instead of using proper tooling, I built my own tooling to control the blend shapes at runtime, and it was just way too janky. In the end, I really just had to avoid any close-up shots, and the few that do exist in the final game are super fragile. So all of this is to say that after Farewell North, I started looking towards my next project, and I realized that I really need to make some changes. I need to learn how proper animation tooling is set up, how to create robust rigs, what the best practices are for facial animation, hair physics, all that good stuff. And I've finally gotten to a place that I'm very, very happy with. The first thing to do was taking my time properly setting up rigs. Now, I've been using Auto-Rig Pro, which is a paid Blender add-on, and it's really nice. The rigging process is fantastic and has export options for Unity and Unreal and all those major engines to export rigs exactly as they need to be set up for your engine, but there's also free tools like Rigify that serve a similar purpose. I'm also using FaceIt, another paid add-on, to rig the face. I've learned that using the standardized ARKit shape keys makes it really easy to reuse facial animations across rigs, and it makes your facial animations compatible with a ton of other tools. For instance, with the ARKit shape keys, I'm able to use Unity's live capture package to record facial animations from my phone and map them onto my character's facial rig in real time, which is so cool. FaceIt even generates these ARKit shapes for you, which is brilliant. Now with all that foundation set up, I'm already in a much better place than I was with Feral North. Animation authoring is still tough for me though, and I make narrative-driven 3D games that require a lot of custom animations. Freelance animations can quickly get very expensive, so I still need to solve authoring animations in a cost-effective manner, and I think I've finally got the perfect solution. I did a ton of research on this. I watched hours of videos and read dozens of articles, and just as I was about to make a purchase, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna reach out, I'm gonna tell them my story, and see if they might be willing to help an indie dev out. A package arrived a few days later, and, well, I am so grateful and frankly shocked that Rokoko sent me their Smart Suite Pro 2, Smart Gloves, and head rig, which means I can now capture animations and get them into the game exactly as I imagine them. So if you're not already aware, Rokoko is a full solution for body, finger, and facial performance capture. They provide the whole workflow, including all the hardware and software you need, and they even offer a huge discount for indie developers, which can save you a ton of money. The kit allows even a terrible animator like me to get really high quality animations in minutes, and I can easily re-record animations as many times as I need if the scene changes, or if I want to try some different ideas. The Rokoko Studio software has plugins for Blender, Unity, Unreal, all the major 3D software, which is super cool, because it means you can actually see your animations on your custom characters and scenes in real time, which has really solved a major pain point with my Feral North workflow, and I find it helps coming up with new ideas and getting more natural movement. Once I'm happy with a take, I export the animations as plain old FBX files, which lets me edit them manually. This is great because sometimes I want to smooth something out or adjust the curves, maybe accentuate a movement, or add in motions that are frankly impossible for my 35-year-old bones to capture. Even with the Rokoko suit, having the improved IK rig is still a really big help, because I can retarget the exported Rokoko animation onto my rig in Blender to make adjustments. The suit gives really solid results, the animations come through very smoothly, but one area I do frequently have to touch up is where body parts make contact. For example, a movement like clapping will often have the hands go through each other. Rokoko does have a tool called the Quill Pro, which is meant to solve this, but generally speaking, this is just a part of mocap. You're not usually going to go straight from mocap to final animation, there's always a little bit of cleanup, so having a rig you're comfortable with is always going to be a big help. I'm finding that I'm getting a lot of use out of the head rig, because it means I can record facial and body animation at the same time, which is a big time saver, and I think it gives a much more natural result compared to doing them separately. One concern I did have was with foot locking, something that's really notoriously difficult for mocap suits to get right, and it's a big pain point in a lot of mocap suit reviews. Rokoko seems to have really made strides here. They automate the foot locking with their own algorithms, but they also give you simple lock and unlock controls for when you need to make corrections. Now obviously they've sponsored this video, but I will say they've not given me any script or talking points. They don't get to review what I say. All they've asked is that I share my experience using their tools as I develop my next game, and I'm really thrilled with the kit so far, so you'll definitely see me using this suit in future devlogs as I announce my next game. I'm honestly just having the best time playing around with the suit, and I can't wait to show you what I've been working on. If you want to learn more about Rokoko and see if their tools can help you out, then check the link in the description, and use code RKK_Kyle_Banks to save 5% on any order. And if you're an indie developer, be sure to check if you're eligible for that indie pricing. Okay, so now we have an IK-based rig, much better facial animation features, and the Rokoko suit is really letting my imagination run wild. There's still a few things left to solve though, so next up let's have a look at hair and clothing. I used to use the built-in cloth system from Unity, and it is... The performance is terrible, it spazzes out all the time, and it's just a pain to use. I did some research and I found Magica Cloth 2 to be the best tool for me. It lets you run the physics simulation on a simplified version of the mesh, which they provide great tooling for, much better than what Unity offers, and all kinds of parameters to tune the simulation. It's super performant, much more accurate and stable, and I'm really enjoying the results so far. I've also learned how to properly retarget Mixamo animations. Now I know, better late than never, but I always thought that you just imported the Mixamo animation and placed the animation on your character. But there would always be slight issues that made some animations completely unusable. What you want to do is find the T-pose animation in Mixamo, download that, and create an avatar from it. Then when you import an animation you want to use from Mixamo, you select Copy Avatar and you select your Mixamo T-pose avatar, and your retargeting should go much more smoothly. All the setup work I've been doing over the past few months is really paying off, and we're going to have a much stronger foundation to work off of, and much higher quality animation as a result. Now you definitely don't have to go this far with it. Setting up a proper rig and making sure you can retarget animations from Unity, Unreal, Mixamo, or Rokoko's mocap library is a great start, but you want to make sure you do that early so that you can build on a solid foundation and avoid the same mistake I made, which was getting 3 years into a project before finally learning how humanoid animation is supposed to work. Thank you so much to Rokoko for sponsoring this video and helping me out, and thank you to all my patrons who support my journey. An extra special thank you to my magpies and my ospreys Elegon, Purple Sloth Studio, Jason Hansen, Elise Whaley, Raven Painted, Justice Lind, Brandon Pung, Peter James, Eric Produnsky, Math Merkel, Chupaka, Carson Strout, TNT Games TV, Ian Cordoba, Jermaine Casa, Sigil Games, Will Todd, and Mags. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.